Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to the Planet FPL Weekender. My Friday partner in crime, David Hunter, is with me. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks, mate. How are you?
All right. Yeah, just about recovered from my fantastic jaunt to Monaco and Monte Carlo, which genuinely was brilliant until the bloody football started. And fortunately, I'm not going to speak much Tottenham on this one. We will have a little roundup of some of the stuff happening in Europe this week, including Liverpool's victory in Frankfurt, which I saw a statistic that if you'd lost five in a row, it would have been the first time like 70 years or something remarkable.
Yeah,
That obviously didn't happen. You had a good result. We'll talk a little bit about Forest, who beat Porto last night, and we haven't officially kind of spoken about Ange going and Sean Dyche taking over. Thoughts on that? Tactical preview we're going to do this week is on Manchester United versus Brighton, which is the 5:30 kickoff this Saturday. We're also going to have a look at some free hit and some wild card drafts ahead of tonight's game week 9 deadline. But I wanted to start with a little bit of a reflection on the Monday night football. Lots said about West Ham, and obviously Chris Stone was on Clash to Correspondence this week. So if you want to catch up with that, we did Leeds West Ham with Ed and Chris, and also Wolves v Burnley with Bradley and Jack. And Suja's obviously had his piece on Patreon about West Ham and how bad it was as well. And I've spoken a bit about it on stream, I think, yesterday as well. But we haven't really said anything about Brentford. What commonly obviously happens here when you have a result like this and West Ham being as bad as they were, and it was bad for those who haven't seen it, is we focus just on that. You know what it is like if Brentford beat you this weekend, it'll all be about Liverpool on Monday.
yeah,
It won't
yeah,
be about
yeah.
what about Brentford? And amongst that, yeah, it is hard to equate it because West Ham were that bad, but Brentford were very good as well.
They were. Yeah, yeah, they do deserve credit. I think Keith Andrews is sneakily doing as well as he probably could have hoped, really,
I
considering it's his
agree.
first go. Yeah, he did look at some stats in the from the West Ham game. So 0.35 to 2.37 xG
It would have
overall.
slaughtered them. It's
Yeah,
not. It should have been. The XG will say, "Oh, that score was about right." No, it felt like it should have been more.
yeah, but that doesn't include the disallowed goal as well. That was so close, wasn't it,
That's
for
right. Yeah,
Brentford? So yeah, I mean, we've probably said enough about West Ham, haven't we? But there was no response from them at all when they were behind. Brentford just dominated the game from start to finish. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get into Liverpool in a bit, but yeah, no delusion, under no illusions. What a tough game it'll be tomorrow. They've been pretty good at the G Tech all season, haven't they? They played, I think they played Chelsea, City, and United, haven't they? Only
and
City's
beating Villa.
beaten Villa, yeah. Only City's won there, and that was a competitive game, I think, as well at times. So yeah, Brentford are sort of going along quite nicely. I think I looked at the average heat map of Brentford's team in the game on Monday night. Who do you think was the furthest forward player for Brentford until they started making subs with about 15 minutes to go? I
Well,
was
I
I was
mean,
surprised at this.
the obvious answer would be Thiago. I've not looked at it, but I'm going to guess the way you've asked that question, it's not.
It's
I
not,
wouldn't
no.
be that surprised if it's Yarmouk.
It was Damsgaard, believe it or not.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, he having said that, he only had one shot, which I think's also quite interesting. But there was Thiago and Dango Utara just behind in terms of average position until Andrew started making changes in the second half. So yeah, whether that sort of happens tomorrow is to be seen, really, because that's obviously different type of game for Brentford. But yeah, in terms of Igor Thiago, he was a handful, wasn't he? West Ham just couldn't really cope with him. He had six shots, 0.81 xG, two big chances missed, and as I've just said, a goal ruled out. So yeah, he had his way with West Ham, didn't he, Igor Thiago? And I dare say in a few weeks' time, he'll be an FPL option, I think, because Brentford's fixtures are, I think you and I are going to wildcard around the same time, and Brentford, as we head towards sort of early December, Christmas period, their fixtures turn for the better, don't they? I think.
Yeah, there's a super run from game week 16, but I don't think he wouldn't be a terrible pickup over the next few weeks. I mean, I would argue that other than Arsenal away, the hardest fixture they've got left this year is probably this weekend against Liverpool.
And he'll get chances tomorrow. Don't worry about
I well,
that.
we'll get there. Yeah, I think at 6.1. Yeah, it would be. I'm not advocating that people jump from Calvert Lewin to Thiago this week. Remember, Leeds are playing West Ham. But I think he's a really interesting one. I think he will get quite popular, actually, Thiago. Really, really keen on him. I mentioned Yarmouk, just purely in terms of the positioning. It felt like he was everywhere.
Mm.
I thought he was absolutely terrific. That's the best I'd seen him play. And he's kind of really locked down a position in Brentford's midfield and struck up a really nice relationship with Jordan Henderson. And looking at the DEFCONs for him so far this season, he's been picking them up in the tough home games. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's another one there for him this weekend. He's 5.0. He would be a very difficult pick ahead of like Xhaka, for example. But I do think he's one to monitor now that he's kind of really established himself in that team. So I don't think we really knew, oh, when Janelt's back or Jensen's available, will they nick his spot? I think that partnership between Yarmouk and Henderson sticks. And we've got really two really identical systems. So going into the game, the question mark on the Brentford team was basically, does Utara play or is it another centre back? Now, ironically, it was both because Christopher Jair played at left back. So Aaron Hickey had a problem. And for whatever reason, Keith Andrews decided to go down that route rather than play Keane Lewis Potter, who had a brilliant effort, by the way, from distance in the second half, which
Yeah.
was so narrowly wide. And that would obviously been a low XG chance. So they can play this basically 4-2-3-1. And Damsgaard within that can play either a deeper role alongside Yarmouk and Henderson or acts like a nominal 10, or they play with the three centre backs. Kyoto at right back is an obscene athlete. Actually, on that Lewis Potter chance, the pace of him to keep up and actually his run from starting about 20 yards behind him opens up the space for Lewis Potter to drop inside and have the shot. And I wonder if he might actually, with never good run of fixtures, might also be popular. You're not going to get a lot there from Def Cons. But he might be one you go, okay, that's a cheap Brentford one I can put in, use as a rotation when the fixtures get better. And he's got a launch on him in terms of his long throws as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yes, yeah.
when you watch that Monday night, because I think most of us have felt all six teams probably at the moment. I don't know. You could have watched Monday night and thought Brentford will go down.
Mm. No, I
I
agree.
don't think I
Yeah.
don't think you could have.
Yeah. No, I agree. They've been pretty good, haven't they? Just on Henderson, I think he can still ping a ball, can't he, as well? With I would imagine tomorrow we'll have the vast majority of the ball in between kind of the set pieces that might happen. So there'll definitely be opportunities for Henderson to ping balls to Thiago on the break. We've already seen him do that a few times. Happened on Monday. Did it in the United game, I think, as well, didn't he? Henderson, good pass for Thiago, I think it was. So yeah, we'll get on to us in a bit because we had a good night on Wednesday, but very difficult challenge on tomorrow night for sure in terms of style of play and level of oppositions, to be honest, because Frankfurt were abysmal, let's say, on Wednesday night.
Just on Henderson, the obvious striking thing about him, and I know he's a figure that I think most people want to dislike at the moment. Like a lot of people don't want him in the England squad. But even on Monday night, you can see why.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop talking, does he?
No.
And you look at that West Ham team, like as Chris said on COTC, goals going their heads down. West Ham could have right done with a leader like Henderson at the
Oh
moment.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's almost like an on-pitch manager a little bit. I think Jordan Henderson, and I think that's really helping Andrews, obviously in his
100%.
first job at the moment as well. So that's a really smart signing that
Yeah.
Brentford have made. And you look at them with Thiago, Sade, think there's goals in them. And I think they're going to be competitive in some of the bigger games as they obviously were under Thomas Frank. So yeah, good from them. I would probably say that they would be better off going the back four against you because I think still within that system they concede possession and territory on occasions. But I think the extra attacking player on the counter would be advisable. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, don't disagree, to be honest. I think the back four won't going with the back four rather than a back three won't make too much of a difference against us, to be honest. And if they can have that extra player in Atara on counter attacks, that gives us something to think about as well, doesn't it? So yeah, be a tough game tomorrow, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
So interesting week for Liverpool. Losing the big rivalry game obviously didn't sit well. What was your thoughts on the last half hour and how how hard you went for it so early.
At the United game.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's leave that. It's sort of history now, isn't it? Let's turn the page. Let's just.
Come on, I've got to sit here and talk about Tottenham every week, mate. Come on.
uh, I mean, I put fairly lengthy thing on Slack on Monday morning. I couldn't bring myself to comment on Sunday night. It was a sore one, but I'm not sure we deserve to lose on Sunday. But I think what I said was we just looked like a team of individuals, really, with no real structure in the team. And I'm not saying this to kind of discredit United. That they did what they needed to do. They're clearly playing for Amarim. We'll get onto them later. And, won the game fair and square. No comments there. But I feel like we shot ourselves in the foot, really, with the way we played. Really, we kind of played into their hands a little bit. It was just insane at the end, really. Where I recognised that Slot had to roll the dice, really, but we had kind of 5 up front with Wirtz and a 10 behind him at the end. It was absolutely mad. Yeah, when we got our equaliser, we obviously still had those players on the pitch and we're still vulnerable with that many attacking players on. So yeah, it just, whatever could go wrong did go wrong in that game, really. Still don't think the first goal should have stood. I really don't think that. I did kind of smile on Wednesday when in the first half a Frankfurt player collided into the head of another Frankfurt player, and the referee stopped the game immediately on Wednesday night. And I was like, yeah, probably should have.
I think it's a really tough one. What you're referring to, for those who haven't seen it, was Alexis McAllister ends up essentially getting elbowed in the back of the head by Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
As they go up for a challenge with Brian Boomer, and the ball drops, and then United obviously are quickly away. That in that couple of seconds is so tough for a referee. And what's really unfortunate is, I mean, in this instance, McAllister has clearly been whacked. But unfortunately, we do know that some players are trying to take advantage of this at the moment. And it's like if they get injured or take a knock anywhere, it's like grab the head and try and force the referee to stop the game. And it is being manipulated by so many people at the moment. And I think that's so tough for a referee in that moment where you've got pretty much a second to decide whether to stop this dangerous attack or keep going. From the challenge, I think they showed it on Match of Day 2. I think from the challenge to the ball going in was 9 seconds.
Yeah,
and so
it's bad
like right from there, from second 9, the physios are coming on.
Yeah, it's bad from us as well. I mean, I'm not downplaying what a bad goal it was to concede. I think Mamardashvili should do better as well. United still had some work to do to score the goal. And I must say that's not why we lost the game. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, surprised he didn't score to make it 2-0 in the first half. When Maguire scores, there's a queue of them to nod it in. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to bang on about it too much. United, fair play to them.
All right, well, yeah, you got more hardship to come, I should imagine, mate, on this podcast and having to speak about bad results occasionally. So there was a good one Wednesday. So is it all fixed and okay now?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, we couldn't really have wished for more accommodating opposition, really, on Wednesday. Didn't feel like that when they took the lead, I must admit. But yeah, set piece FC, we were ourselves on Wednesday.
I saw it's interesting. There's so many people after the game, Liverpool fans, moaning about Liverpool set pieces.
Yeah,
and to score from 2 corners, interesting.
Yeah, just like in Milan last season, Canate and Van Dijk scoring the goals. Yeah, it was a really good performance. I mean, it just felt so nice to actually have a game where you knew we'd won. Feels like about 6 months since that happened, and Slot's able to bring subs on in the second half from a position of comfort, and bringing Joe Gomez on and players like that, giving players a run out when the game's like not in the balance. It was really nice. So in terms of what we did selection wise, is Gravenberch was ruled out before the game, so that meant straight away that we were going to make changes. So Slot played with a double pivot in midfield of Szoboszlai and Jones, with Wirtz ahead of them. In terms of how we set up, we were 4-4-2 out of possession, really. So obviously we played Ekitike and Isak together. So out of possession, Verts kind of shuttled towards the right-hand side. And then when we had the ball, he kind of did what he wanted, really, with Frimpong for the first 20 minutes while he was on the pitch, just properly bombing down that right-hand side. Fortunately, he then kind of did his hamstring again. Very unlucky, that, because by all accounts, he's never really had injury problems before signing for us, but that's his second injury now. So Bradley came on, which I was really pleased about. What I didn't want Slot to do was move Szoboszlai to right back and put, say, McAllister into midfield. He went with Bradley, and I'd like him to stick to that. Hopefully he will do. Szoboszlai did pretty well at right back, but we need him in midfield, truthfully. Bradley came on, and the midfield three of Jones, Szoboszlai, and Verts worked really well, actually. Then Isak looks like he's done his groin, so he's going to be out for a little while. And interestingly, he went with Chiesa rather than just put Mo Salah on at half-time.
It's probably because you're 3-1 up.
Yeah, I guess so. He probably wants to give Chiesa a few minutes where he can. Although he never really looks like starting a game at the moment, Chiesa. Second half was really good. Yeah, played some good stuff. There's some chat, I guess, about Salah coming on and not passing to Verts, but I'm not going to go in too hard on Mo at the moment. He's struggling for confidence. He's desperate to score. He just looks like he needs a hug at the moment, Mo Salah.
Someone give Mo a hug.
Yeah, he looks like he's struggling a bit. But
he starts tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah.
So what are we saying? By default, Ekateke goes at 9, presumably with Isak injured. Gakpo left and Verts behind?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on, around about the time of recording, maybe Slot's already had his press conference. I'm not too
sure. I'll
have
a look where you check.
Would he want Gravenberch in on tomorrow night? You can understand why you would want that, but I'd be inclined to roll again with the Curtis Jones. Interesting start. Since Opta started keeping records, he made the most passes of any Liverpool player in a Champions League game on Wednesday. Completed 123 of 129 passes. So, I mean, obviously a lot of those passes are just kind of keeping the ball and very easy passes, but that's really good, I think. So I would guess if I was to predict a lineup, it would be obviously Mamardashvili in goal. I think he'll go with Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk. I do think Kirkes comes back in. I've seen some people. Robertson did play really well on Wednesday, but Saturday turnaround, I think I would go back with Kirkes, and then I would just go with I'd give Gravenberch a bit longer to recover. So I'd go with Jones, Szoboszlai, Verts, Salah, Ekatike, Gakpo. That would be how I'd go, but Slot knows better than me, and you never know. I mean, I don't really want to see McAllister anywhere near the team at the moment, to be honest. But
just clarify that Alexis McAllister is a very, very good footballer.
Yeah,
he's just not in the right space at the moment. I think it's fair to say.
No, I'd roll with him on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace and see if he can pick up some form that way.
Is it more a case that he just needs a proper break?
Yeah. I mean, there's been a school of thought that he's only going to get fitter by playing, but the evidence suggests maybe he needs more of a break than to kind of play his way into form. Some players are different, aren't they?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what he goes with. Suddenly we've got options though, which is good, and we did actually look like a coherent team that had actually met each other before on Wednesday. It was good, yeah.
First world problems there, David, with your team, mate. Honestly, I was kind of the position on Tuesday that if Gakpo started again and had good minutes, I would maybe sell him in FPL. But I think with that Isak injury, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start again, actually. And you presume he gets rotated for the midweek game against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, Gakpo's he's such a weird player at the moment because you'll be tearing your hair out when you watch him kind of quite regularly when he picks up the ball. But he is the player producing output at the moment on the left hand side, and could have had a couple more against United in addition to the one he did get. And again, he did bits on Wednesday as well. So and he is a slot favourite, I think. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I
he
think
will
it's going to
play.
have to stay for me because the way it looks now, I think it probably does start Brentford and Villa.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I
Don't
think he's
think he's a
probably
priority sell. Definitely not.
no. I don't know if I've seen a few people talking about buying him now. I don't know if I do that either.
Sounds like he might go up in price tonight. I was looking on live
Points,
FPL.
David, points.
Yeah,
He scored and ultimately scored in the last two, and obviously the data last weekend means that
yeah,
if for those who are looking at the data, he obviously looks great now, doesn't he? Because it was an underperformance last week.
yeah.
Okay,
I don't think he's must sell, but I'd steady on about buying him. I think, to be fair.
bit of a roundup on some of the other English clubs in Europe. Good wins essentially for everyone except my team. I don't really want to talk about Tottenham anymore. Arsenal was shit again, I noticed. Good result for Newcastle against Benfica. Chelsea massively helped by the early Ajax red card, although I suspect they would have had way too much from him anyway. I think probably the key takeaway from that was the substitutions actually. So Enzo Fernandez played the first half, took a penalty, give Esteval another one. Esteval's penalty is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
You ain't saving those. Mark Gu scored as well. So Gu and Fernandez were both withdrawn at half time, and Casado not long after half time as well. So I would imagine that Gu starts tomorrow against Sunderland. João Pedro at the 10. And Enzo Fernandez and Casado behind that. We know Reece James has got to play because Malo Gusto's suspended. So he was protected midweek as well. What would be different to that? To Chelsea, it probably does mean the takeaways. Yeah, Enzo Fernandez good minutes, but Enzo Fernandez maybe deeper role. But I still think within that, João Pedro wants to come to the ball, and Enzo Fernandez will still box crash, and that's where he's like getting most of his returns for Chelsea when he does that. So I wouldn't be put off. So I still think that's interesting. City, good result for City in Villarreal. Just the one for Haaland. He's shit. Anyone? Have I missed anyone else who played in Europe? Is that
Newcastle,
it? Oh,
Newcastle.
yeah, Newcastle had a good result against Benfica. I don't think there's much else to comment on that. Bit of disappointment for some of the English teams in Europe last night. Crystal Palace lost at home to Larnaca
Yeah,
in the
mad.
Conference League. And I don't know if that's the biggest surprise, though. I shouldn't be surprised. The team we
Yeah,
picked was so strong. So you saw the team went, they'll wipe the floor with them because they're obviously a very good side. And I certainly take on board looking at the stats and stuff. It does look like it's a bit of a freak result.
yeah.
But to have that result with the team that he picked, he's pretty disappointing. He's basically gone with 8 of his known team. And I'm a little bit, I said this on Monday, I'm concerned that this is going to catch up at some point. They could have well rotated the whole team last night and might have ended up winning.
He rotated the centre mids, didn't he? And then one of the centre backs.
Yeah.
That was about it, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
if you, I mean, going, I think it was Hughes Lerma, wasn't it, in midfield, and he's given Richards a break. I wouldn't be, if you're a Chris Richards owner, I wouldn't be concerned. He's his first choice. I don't think there's a doubt.
yeah.
But he's gone with essentially all his hitters, hasn't he, bar Wharton,
We said this.
basically.
We said this before though about Palace, haven't we? It's games where they have a lot of possession, where they the onus is on them to attack, where they do look more vulnerable versus the harder fixtures. But I mean, you're completely right what you said. I look at the underlying data. It is a bit of a freak result.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Them losing that, but yeah, they, it doesn't come quite as naturally to them. I don't think when they've got the ball all the time. I don't think that their strengths are counter attacks, aren't
Was it a freak result for Villa as well? Lost to the mighty go-ahead Eagles. Talking
they?
to Palace, the Palace fans will tell you that Villa do not like playing Eagles, and they've lost to the Eagles again.
And missed another penalty, haven't they?
Yeah,
When Buendia took this one, didn't
they've got a penalty problem. Yeah.
he? Yeah. They actually rested Rodgers for once, I noticed, didn't they? Which,
Indestructible Morgan Rogers
yeah,
actually got rotated, yeah, but it was still a strong side that you would have thought would have too much. But I guess it's similar story, isn't it? Probably on a different day, they probably get the bounce of the ball and they win this game properly as well. So a disappointing result. What I would say for Palace and Villa fans is like in the Champions, I'm looking at my team. My team's unbeaten in 3 games, and I feel like probably can't finish top 8. We've got to win 4 of the remaining 5, I think, to finish top 8, and one of them is PSG away. So essentially, we've got to win the other 4 games.
yeah.
Like, chances are that's not going to happen. In the Europa League, it does feel like teams take points off each other a little bit more. If you look in the Champions League at the moment, Last year we had teams like PSG, Man City kind of like really underperform in the group stage. It feels like the big clubs have cottoned on, or the biggest clubs in that competition have cottoned on to what happened last year and gone, now foot to the floor. It really feels like that. I mean, there's one team from each of the big five leagues who've got 3 wins out of 3, I think.
All right. Right.
In Europa League, you probably can get away with maybe sort of like 15 points or maybe even 14 points, maybe to finish top 8. It's looking like Champions League will probably be 16 or so. I
Yeah.
think so. Might get away with 15, maybe. But even those who've not won all their games, like Barcelona, lost to PSG, for example. So, yeah, the major clubs in the Champions League started really well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Forest are up and running in the Europa League following victory over Porto last night. I had the game on, but I can't tell you that I was watching it intently. They won 2-0. Penalties from Gibbs White. And was it Dan and Doy got the second? I
Ki-
saw it, but I wasn't
Igor,
taking much notice.
Igor
But
Jesus.
Igor Jesus, thank
Yeah.
you. And what I would say is I thought the intensity was good from Forest last night. The vibe felt better. Atmosphere in the stadium felt better. It wasn't just low block and sit behind the ball. Anderson was really aggressive in terms of winning the ball back. Gibbs White looked more like himself. They had wide threats in Hudson Odoi and Dan Ndoye on the other side. Jesus is obviously quite mobile up front as well. Just all felt a lot better. I picked a relatively strong team. Zinchenko went off injured, so it might mean that Savonna's in at right back. You've got Williams going to the other side. But he's picked a strong team. I'm not surprised by it. I saw Gibbs White's interview after the game where he said they'd gone a little bit, I don't want to say back to basics, but Sean Dyche had told them that I want to focus quite a bit on what's worked well here last season because they obviously had a great season. And it's amazing how one game can just very quickly change the vibe. And I wouldn't see them getting slapped at Bournemouth this weekend now.
No, it's that's a great start for him, isn't it? Think when the appointment was made, there was. I'll be honest, I kind of rolled my eyes, really thinking that's another 180 after trying to do a 180 with Ange. But I suppose what you can say with Deitch is he's already got that connection with the fans, hasn't he? By virtue of he kind of played the hits in his press conference, didn't he, about Cloughie, and he's got backroom staff of I think it's Ian Wone and Steve Stone, hasn't he? They were very kind of popular players back in the day, so he's already got something that Ange never had really, hasn't he? And he's got another thing now, which is a win.
Well, Ange kept talking about himself, ultimately.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, whenever there's a new manager appointed in the Premier League, I think it's important to sort of take the temperature of the fans, really, whether they're behind it. We've seen managers recently where Ange being one of them, and Russell Martin at Rangers, where they were kind of struggling as soon as they were appointed, really, because they had no credit in the bank to kind of start games with. But I think with Deitch, almost by virtue of the fact that he isn't Ange, you would kind of
A little bit, yeah. They just didn't take to him. It's
yeah,
intriguing. I was thinking about this last night. If I'd have said to a Forest fan in the summer, you'll have Sean Dyche in October, don't think I'd have got many positive responses to it. But at the
no,
moment, you're probably going to get an okay response back because his panic has set in a little bit.
yeah,
I do think from the club's perspective, it does feel like a massive U-turn. Nuno, we want you to change style. Let's go and get Ange. Oh, let's now go back to Sean Dyche. I think probably in terms of Premier League, they'll probably be okay now. When you look at
yeah.
them, you look through the spine, you think Murillo, Anderson, Gibbs White. I think if they're all playing well, like that spine is brilliant. It
That's
should be okay.
that was Gibbs White's first goal of the season last night. Unbelievably, like we're nearly in November, aren't we? It's so
I think there has to be a question mark
yeah,
here in terms of whether those players took to Ange in any way,
yeah.
and it might have contributed to some of the recent results
From what I
being
can
so bad.
from what I can gather, the players played for Deitch last night, and the fans. I've only seen the highlights, but it sounded loud on the TV highlights that yeah, everyone's kind of sounds bad to say, but just happy that short era's over now, and they can move forward with something a bit more familiar to them in terms of approach. So
I think so. However, if you said to me Sean Dyche is still not in a Forest manager in a couple of years, I'll be very surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised it doesn't last out the season. not because I think he's horrendously bad, although if you ask an Evertonian, they probably will tell you that. I think he's probably right person right now, but I know ultimately, and Mark Summers has said this to us on a few Nottingham Forest pieces over the years, Marinakis wants consistent and constant progress. And I think the remit at the moment will be get us out of trouble, try and win the Europa League. I think that will be the remit. And I don't think we've got enough to know what a Sean Dyche team will look like Thursday, Sunday throughout a Premier League season. Last night was good. I imagine he'll pick a similar team on Sunday. What Sean Dyche likes to do, we knew this from both Burnley and Everton, was if he had a successful team that was doing all right, he didn't piss about of it. He tended to quite often go with the same 11. Now, Forest squad is big as well. You don't have to look at the players like not involved in the squad last night. And
Yeah.
people, we feel like we've hardly seen like Hutchinson, McAtee, Bakwa, and there's got a bit of an injury at the moment.
Callum
Kalamawendo, yeah, you've got Wood wasn't involved last night. Like in terms of attacking options, there's loads of options available there. They're a bit light defensively at the moment, I think particularly in the full-back area, but they couldn't have foreseen Olarena's injury. So attacking wise, he's going to have to rotate that properly, I think. And the best way to do that is by utilising this squad in the Europa League. I totally get a very prioritised big team last night because A, the opponent, strong, has got Champions League experience. And B, that obviously started badly 1 point from the first two games. You want to get up and running. It'll be tough for them even from here to probably finish top 8, but they're capable. I would have concerns if we hit sort of February, March, if they've either done badly in the Europa League or if they're still in the bottom 6, that Marinakis might get bored. And I'm being very honest, that's how I feel.
Yeah. I made a point of I saw on Twitter saying Sean Dyche sounded quite hoarse in his post match
He
interview.
always does.
I thought, how would you tell the difference? So I made a point of watching it, and he did sound hoarse. He's obviously been
Okay.
he was shouting.
Eating worms again, was he?
That's not going to go away, that one, is it?
Every time the camera panned on him, he seemed to have his finger on each side of his head, like, you know, concentrate or whatever. He was obviously trying to get constant orders out to the team and whatnot. Good night for Forest. That they've obviously suffered and been the butt of jokes for everybody over the last couple of months. I think they'll be fine. But I also don't visualize this as Sean Dyche is going to take Nottingham Forest to the next level. I mean, it will probably stabilize it in the immediate. For a preview for the weekend, we're going to do Manchester United against Brighton. I've got a graphic on screen for those on YouTube. And to be honest, I'll read out the players involved. It's a graphic from Brighton's win at Old Trafford in January of this year, where Brighton won 3-1. The United team that day was usual system, as we know, under Amram. Anana, what's his name, in goal. Delip, Maguire, Yoro. Matsuri and Dallo, the wing-backs, Dallo on the left. Ugarte and Mino, Fernandez and Amad Diallo ahead of that, Xerxes up front. And the striking thing, obviously, on that straight away is, right, we've got Bumo, Cunha in as part of that. And obviously, Fernandez, obviously, in a deeper position. Brighton basically played a 4-2-4. And the team, in terms of personnel, is not going to look too different this weekend. So for Bruggen in goal, Veltman at right back, who is a little bit of a doubt, apparently. Van Heck and Dunk will be the centre-back pair. And Purvis Stupinan was left-back. Ayari and Baleba in midfield. It should be the same too this week. Welbeck and João Pedro as your 9/10. Minter on the right. Mitoma on the left. And I did a piece on Talking Tactics for patrons not long after this game, looking at Manchester United at the time and how they were getting pinned into a back five. Because 3 days before this game, Southampton went there. And if you can't remember the game, you probably will remember when I say Amad Diallo's hat-trick. And if you remember correctly, for the first hour of that game, Southampton were a better team at Old Trafford and they dominated them. And Southampton played a very different system to what Brighton played. Southampton played back three. And United, obviously, similar system. Brighton obviously didn't. Brighton basically went 4-2-4. And what I looked at the time was why Manchester United kept getting pinned in to a back five without possession, irrespective of how the opponent was playing. So what Brighton did really interestingly in this game is, and they do this a lot on occasions, but they do need the right personnel, and they might not for the weekend, is Welbeck and João Pedro both drop towards the ball. We spoke about it on Monday. João Pedro kind of wants to come towards the ball rather than be out on the shoulder number 9. He wants to come towards the ball. So what they did was they dropped João Pedro and Welbeck both towards the ball, almost more like they played more like 10s, and Mitoma and Minter stayed really high. And Brighton went in front after about 5 minutes of the game. It's João Pedro and Welbeck coming really short towards the ball, linking the play. Mitoma and Minter really high, and they've got United's wing backs pinned in, so it's the back 5, and it created indecision where I think at the time when United are getting better at this, the centre backs weren't comfortable coming out and pressing man to man against the 2 10s. But he got left in a scenario where you've got Maguire essentially as the centre back and the 2 wing backs are like full backs. You've ended up like in a 3-2 and the 2 wide centre backs in front of your one, almost like an old fashioned sweeper. And Baleba goes over the top to Mitoma on the left hand side. Minter's coming off the right. Mitoma squares it for Minter 1-0. And they go on and win the game.
That touch from Mitoma was filthy, wasn't it?
You know what I think about his first touch. And that strategy pretty much won them the game very early in the game. Now, I went to look at the predicted lineups or possible lineups, let's say, for this weekend. So, United team, same as what played at Liverpool, but I think Euro might play. But Euro might not play if United think that Mitoma isn't going to play. Because for Hertzler to play that system again, he needs the right personnel. Now, I think Rutter can do that similar job with Welbeck, but I think Rutter wants to start from even deeper. You've still got Minter to the right. The problem is who would play that Mitoma role on the left. Now, it sounds like Mitoma is a possibility, but whether he's going to be able to start, I'd say is highly doubtful. Gomez and Grud are also in contention, but they're not like Mitoma. Like if Simon Adingra was still there, maybe they'd go with the same strategy. What they actually ended up with against Newcastle on Saturday, was Kadioglu playing ahead of De Kuyper after Gomez went off injured. So it might be that that's what we get again. Now, I think to go over the top and try and push Ahmad in deeper, just quite obviously, our matchup now on that side of the pitch is possibly Ahmad against Kadioglu rather than Matsurawi against Mitoma. United can push further up the pitch and be braver with that, right? Knowing that the in-behind threat is not there in the same way. And by the way, Ahmad was getting pushed back in games when he was playing wing-back for United. They're getting better about it and more aggressive. But I think Hertzler probably can't go with that strategy that worked so well against them last year because he's probably not going to have the personnel on the left-hand side of the pitch to do it. It really needs Mitoma. So I think you'll probably get a scenario where Rutter's playing the 10 position again and they try and find him through the lines. It's probably going to be more that in terms of a strategy. And if one of Gomez or Grud is able to play on the left, you might get them coming a bit narrower and joining in. But I think I would have been really intrigued to see this with Mitoma fit, to see if Brighton went the same way again.
Do you think, obviously the keeper's different from this game last season now. We've got Lamans in goal rather than Onana. Clearly, whether it's just the way Lamans is, but more likely the way Amarim's decided he wants to go. Lamans is much more direct than Onana was. Do you think that will change the way that this game might go if every time Lamans gets it, he goes more direct versus when Onana was in?
Well, the directness that a lot of teams are deploying at the moment is because so many teams are locking onto man-to-man press. I saw another example of that in terms of Monaco doing it to Tottenham on Wednesday night. So if goalkeeper's got the ball and everyone's facing towards the goalkeeper, there's nowhere to go. Yeah. If everyone's locked in, you need someone that's good enough. So Bruno Fernandes is probably the player, and this part way I think he plays so deep. If you are going to go in shorter, it's right, it's into him and it's comfortable. But also for United with the 3 centre-backs, that makes it more difficult in a way for other teams to lock onto a man-to-man in terms of United. What United do a lot, if an opponent does that, is they move the central centre-back into midfield.
Yeah.
That's what so De Ligt would, and it's really uncomfortable to watch when United do this, by the way, in my opinion. They'll move De Ligt into like the 6 and then probably push Fernandes into a higher or wider position to offer out more direct plays out of that. You don't want to go too direct against Brighton because Duncan Van Heck will win most of the stuff. But What they did so successfully against your team, David, as covered on Monday, was they weren't trying to win the headers. It was all about second balls.
They will,
That was the main bit of United's strategy was
yeah,
we're going to go direct. We know Van Dijk and Kanate will win the headers. Let's make sure we pick up the pieces. And
yeah. They were very,
they were very good at
yeah,
it.
they
And it
were, yeah,
worked. And it's kind of it is a bit more old school, but there's more and more teams doing it at the moment. So
yeah,
I don't think United would be frightened to go direct. They have to be careful to not to think, oh, what worked against Liverpool will work against everybody, because everybody's seen that at the weekend. So I imagine it will be a big message this weekend to Baleba and Ayari. Right, if United are going to go direct, you need to be on top of this in terms of the second balls, because it's not just dropping into that area, which is obviously a dangerous area, but the ball's dropping into your Bumos, Mounts, Cunha if he plays deeper, Bruno Fernandes, to drop into top players who then are almost behind the midfield line. So it's breaking a line. We talk about breaking line breaking passes where someone from a sixth position passes, say, into a 10. This is breaking a line but doing it differently. And so many more teams are doing this now. He's trying to get into that zone directly.
yeah. I was very impressed with Bumo and Cunha last Sunday. I have to say, they're such a massive threat, aren't they? Sort of established Premier League players. I mean, just looking at the difference between these two graphics, it's kind of chalk and cheese in some ways. This United lineup now, they look so much more
Yeah, of
dangerous
course
in
it does.
forward areas.
Yeah, and this could be Cunha instead of Mount, and Sesko comes back into the team as a different example.
Yeah,
And they might want to do that because of the nature of Duncan Van Heck. The strategy this time might be more about, oh, well, we do want to win the first point of contact if we go direct.
yeah,
So one concern on Lemons just a little bit, and I know it's been good so far in the two games. The hesitant moment on Isak's chance in the first half,
yeah,
again, difficult to be comparing to the top keepers who have played in the league. But I think your Edison's when he was here, Allison, Raya, they're all coming for that. And Isak ends up getting a shot away. It was one of you've got to be really decisive in your decision making, and it was always hesitated. And I get that he's new to the league as well, but I did think, oh, you might be like a rooted goalkeeper. Are you gonna be able to sweep properly? Now, in the game against Sunderland before, he had a couple of instances where he ended up going on a bit of a wander outside the area. So it might have just been one isolated incident.
he made the right decision eventually to kind of, rather than just keep going for a ball he was never going to get to. At least he sort of realised, oh, yeah, let's just try and save the shot here. But yeah,
No,
that
I think he's
was,
done well, and obviously teams are going to test that as well. Like, oh, what's his weaknesses? But at the moment, yeah, he's done well. I mean, I'm not surprised he's better than Bienda because it couldn't be much worse. Frankly, I'm really sorry to say that.
see,
I've
Brighton have won the last 3 trips to Old Trafford, haven't they?
They've
So
got a really good
yeah,
recent record against them. I just feel with them at the moment, like if Matoma or Minta are unavailable against an opponent like this, it feels a bit stunted to me. If you said to me Matoma was going to could if I knew Matoma could play 90 minutes, I'd say to you, I think Brighton would potentially get something this weekend. But with that setup, and I think United confidence, kind of 6 days to kind of enjoy the victory, and now the message from all United fans I'm hearing is right now, show me consistency. Yeah, I
that's
think
what
I think I think they'll probably win again this weekend.
on the group chats after Sunday, if, in amongst all the piss taking, if some United mates were all saying, "Yeah, great, we're still going to get beat by Brighton on Sunday." So it just shows you that some United fans are still not quite believing that consistency will be there. But yeah, it is a winnable game. I don't think this Brighton team is quite clicked yet this season, has it? So
No, Baleba's like not had a great season yet, and it might be consequence of little niggles and even rumours in terms of going to United. You would imagine he will want to particularly put up a good showing this weekend.
big game for the lad who's not cutting his hair until United win 5 in a row, isn't it?
Well, you know what Game 5 is if United win the next two, don't you?
Tottenham, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a very important game. Yeah, man, if you win the next two, you're probably getting a haircut. Right, let's do free hit and wildcard drafts before we finish. Go on, David, give us your selections for this week, mate.
Okay, free hit. So benefit of the audio, I'll just read it out. I've got Nick Pope in goal, home to Fulham. Back 3 of Reece James, Gabriel, and Timber. Quite Chelsea Arsenal heavy, this, obviously. Midfield of Saka, Enzo, Bumo. Yeah, I thought he was good. Thought he was good last week. Semenyo, front three of João Pedro, Haaland, and Krupi Jr., who sounds like he's going to play again, doesn't he? With probably Evan Ilson out by the sound
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, usual caveats. We are recording Friday morning. Keep an eye on team news today.
Yeah, cheats out the bench. So yeah, that's what I've gone with. Haaland captain, Saka vice.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think it's necessarily a great week to free hit personally. I think you're probably drawn into targeting players that are at home. That's what you've got, bar one, which is Haaland. And I've got 9 of mine are all at home as well.
Yeah,
In terms of players, we've got the same. Gabriel's not going to surprise anyone. Saka, Enzo Fernandez, and Semenyo, and also João Pedro and Haaland. There's a few little differences for me. I've gone Sanchez in goal. I've gone Kieran Trippier. I wanted a combination where I was comfortable with the Chelsea Newcastle choice, and I just wasn't comfortable with the Chelsea centre back choice. So I probably would have preferred like a Adarabioyo and Pope combination. But Kieran Trippier played well in midweek, and I see no reason why he wouldn't play again. So Sanchez, Trippier, Gabriel. I've gone Michael Keane of Everton, who I think sharing some messages with late riser from FPL Wire this morning. I think he's a really good pickup at the moment for people if they want to invest in the longer term. If they're on wildcard at the moment, Jared Brantwaite's obviously had a setback in terms of another hamstring injury. He's had surgery, so presumably that's going to keep him out until 2026 at the earliest, which is going to give you a run of Michael Keane of, as long as he's fit, at least 10 games or so.
yeah.
I don't think there's any concern from that perspective. And
Fixtures
whilst
aren't
he,
great, are they? But yeah,
what's that?
fixtures aren't great, are they, for a while for Everton? But
Well, I think they're okay. Like Tottenham,
yeah,
Sunderland, Fulham in the next 3, he's all right. United away is subject to however we feel about them at the moment. Newcastle is at home in game week 13. That's okay. Bournemouth away, Forest at home. Chelsea and Arsenal 16-17 doesn't look great. But then their run, I'd said this on my stream yesterday, their run from 18 to 22 is by far the best in the league.
yeah,
So, and that's the period we're talking about, Brantwaite being injured. So if you're looking all the way up to like there, I think it's a solid pick. He won't hit DEFCONs in the way Tarkovsky does, but as Sean Norton's been telling us when he's been coming on the pod, Keane is the bigger threat on
yeah,
set plays. So he's almost the more likely to hit you the 15-pointer, if you will. So Sanchez, Trippier, Keane, Gabriel. With Saka, Enzo Fernandez, and Semenyo, I've gone Gordon. I wanted one of the 2 Newcastle attackers in. I just thought there was more choices in terms of the front line this week. And I think Fulham have got issues at the moment. I thought about it, and Newcastle struggled in these type of games, like Fulham a little bit. I don't think Newcastle will go and beat them heavily, but I was thinking more about Cuenca coming in the team last week, and it possibly being an evolution of Lewis James saying just for a long time. Like I think ultimately Cuenca will get in the team. It's probably happened a year longer than
it's been
maybe
a while.
people
Yeah,
thought it would. Yeah, but obviously he's come in the team at the same time that Anderson's got injured. So does he have to completely revert to going back to Bassi and Diop, which he might have been thinking this time last week, right, you're now my backups as a consequence. So Bassi and Cuenca as 2 left foot probably is not going to work. So Diop's going to have a run now, and he can be good, but I would suggest he's also inconsistent. That's Gordon's zone if he's coming in off the left as well. And he had a really good night in midweek. So Gordon for a bit of Newcastle coverage. That means, yes, no Voltamade. So I've gone Haaland, João Pedro. And to be honest, taking the opportunity with Isak's injury to put Ekiteke in there.
yeah, he's doing well. Yeah,
Would he be, if people still owned, won't be many at this point, if you wanted to take Haaland on, would he be as good a captaincy consideration as anyone this weekend?
Ekatike.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably João Pedro. More, I don't know. It's tight.
Divisive for people, isn't it?
It's tough, that one, isn't it?
I know you've probably got 90 minutes of Ekiteke, and we've spoke well about Brighton, but it's an okay fixture.
Saka, if you got that, maybe.
I'd rather captain a player against Brentford than Palace, ultimately.
Mm. Yeah, but he's not going to be on pens, I wouldn't think. But whether that's a consideration or not, I think I would go for João Pedro over Ekatike for captaincy. I think.
What about for Salah owners if they want to take Haaland on this week? Wow.
Yeah, he could go off, couldn't he? But he's still Mo Salah, isn't he? But there's not much evidence there at the moment.
Go on,
No,
tell me honestly, Dave, if you were sitting there with Salah and Ekateke in your team at the moment, and I said captain one of them,
Ekateki.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe he is the next best option this week.
yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What you could obviously do with this free hit, if you went, right, well, I'm going to go Ekateke and take Haaland on, you can obviously smash up the money. But by consequence, I think you are probably wanting to put Salah in.
Hmm. It's hard. It's hard if you've got Salah sat in your team not to captain him if you've not got Haaland. I suppose just because of how expensive he is, he probably do need some big balls to not do that. But yeah, he's just. I mean, one thing you can say about Mo, he is desperately trying to score goals. He, so
He's
many
always
shots.
been that way, mate.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess take him on at your peril, but yeah, he's confidence is low at the moment with Mo. I think.
Okay. I take it Haaland captain for you just generally this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Is not enough reason. I know they beat my team last weekend, but I didn't see enough from Villa to make me think that they'll stop him. So it's not enough reason to take it on. The tempter one would have been Semenyo for me, but not with the change of manager at Forest. If Ange had been still going into this, I think we could have made a strong case for it. Not with that change at Forest, I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if Forest got a result actually at Bournemouth on Sunday now.
Mm.
Wildcard drafts, go on in.
Yeah, a couple of caveats here because this does not look good. My wild card this week. So this week I've let my 11th Semenyo price rise go. I've still not had him at any point this season, which means when
Ange getting sacked, you're relieved, didn't you?
it's like it can't go on like this, can it? It can.
Good luck. Good luck when you. I take you. I mean, game week 12 is like West Ham, then this Sunderland, Everton, Burnley in 17. He's got some good fixtures over Christmas as well, hasn't
Yeah, I've probably just got. I've made my bed, and I do wish I had him. I've not got him because I don't think he's good or a good option. It's just there's always been something else to do or another strategy I'm on. But so yeah, usual caveat. I feel like I say this every week with my wildcard draft. If you've got Semenyo, keep him.
State the obvious, David.
But I couldn't buy him and get.
Do you not see the fact that he's going up in price every week and not think maybe I'm not too late? There are some other people still buying him.
Yeah, there's something in this. Maybe he's quite a good player, isn't he? But the way I've done it anyway, and I acknowledge that there's two Palace players playing this week in this wildcard draft at Arsenal. But I thought to myself, from next week, I'm probably going to want to think about quite a lot of game week 13 wildcarders that are going to be happening. So what I would do is I would go with this and then just not touch my team unless I got injuries until game week 13 when Chelsea and Arsenal play each other, and you're going to be sat there with 3 Chelsea, 3 Arsenal. So yeah, this week it's playing Munoz and Mateta at Arsenal. That's not great, but I kind of rolled it through with FPL Team, and it looks fantastic between 10 and 13, this team, when you get to 13. So yeah, just to read it out.
It will need chopping when you hit 13.
Yeah, exactly.
It will feel like it because you'll have 6 players from Arsenal, Chelsea. So
yeah, I don't really like this week to wildcard. Let me be clear. But it's Petrovic in goal, Munoz, Chalobah, Gabriel, Timber, Saka, Enzo, Minter. Brighton's fixtures are
really good from next week. Yeah,
Joao Pedro, Haaland, Mateta. I mean, you could still go with Bowen this week, I suppose, if you wanted to, but just get it done. I think on wildcard. Dubravka, Ismail Assar, Dewsbury Hall, and Swansea. It does look a bit ugly this week, but then you've got your 3 Palace in place next week for the start of their really good run. Chelsea and Arsenal, 3 each. Still got some fantastic fixtures for the foreseeable. And you've got Brighton's good run. And Bournemouth's fixtures are okay as well with Petrovic in goal. So, yeah, as I've just said, with Semenyo, if you've got him, you've probably got a lot more team value to play around with, and you can do a little bit better than this. But with where I'm at with my team value, this is the best I could come up with at the moment. What have you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth saying as well. I don't know if you touched the bench on that at all in terms of like Dewsbury Halls, Twanzabes, Dubravkas. How much of that do you own anyway?
I've got Dubravka and Dewsbury Hall.
You've got 2 of them.
Yeah,
you've only got 7 changes now.
Yeah.
So not the right time for you, mate.
No.
I wouldn't say.
And I'm going to buy Munoz and Sarr next week, probably. with two free strikers. I'm going to roll this week and get them in next week.
Yeah, it's a really awkward time because you absolutely want to steam into Palace as part of this. What I would say is, I think the biggest thing is what you've already said, David, is if you are on this strategy where you're on wildcard now, yeah, you want to be leaving this dead to at least 12. And I only say 12 because you might want to be looking at some Liverpool maybe. But again, with the managerial change at Forest, that doesn't feel like quite such a necessity. Yeah, if it's now or 10, unless you're in a position where you've already accumulated transfers and well done, you're going to want to try and leave that dead for a few weeks. And if you go heavy on Arsenal, Chelsea, Palace, you should be in that position. You should only be forced into moves with injuries. I would say around abouts now, if you wildcard and are unlucky with injuries in the next few weeks, it may unravel quite badly. I looked at my draft, which I'll talk through in a sec. It's not beyond possibility that I wildcard before 10. If I'm going to do that, I want to do it tonight. So after Leeds West Ham, I'm going to have a look at a draft, but I don't think I'd land much different from what I've got here. And having again looked through on FPL Team, I didn't love it. I think it will still be 13 for me. The wavering on 13 is thinking more about, well, I still will want Arsenal in 13. I probably still will want some Palace in 13. That's where the wavering comes in. And it's not knowing little things like, oh, which Man United asset's best at the moment, little things that will come round. So there are definitely similarities with our teams, David. Timber, Gabriel, Saka, same three Arsenal. Enzo Fernandez won't be a surprise. Haaland in. Mateta and Munoz in. I just gone the two at the moment. And I've left Munoz on as a sub in what I've set up here, but I'll repeat what I said earlier in the week and on stream yesterday. I have no problem with people playing the likes of Munoz, Sarr, Mateta this week. I think Palace, it's a rare one. I think Palace will score at Arsenal this weekend. I don't think they'll get Soddle, but I think they'll score. So I've gone in terms of the bus team for this week. Pope in goal, Timber, Gabriel, and Michael Keane. Saka, Enzo Fernandez, Semenyo. I've put Bumo in as a United player.
I like that. Yeah.
And up front with Mateta and Haaland, Kruppi Jr. Now, I am not in love with that because I keep saying that I'd want more of a free, so like Voltemade as well. I just felt like the way it sat at the moment, the timing was right to put him in, subject to whatever Areola tells us about Evan Nilsson later. And obviously with the fixture, it allows benching Munoz this week rather than feeling got to play him. So the rest of the squad is Munoz and Twanzebe, Dubravka, the backup goalkeeper, and Josh King in midfield. And obviously moving forward, the idea would be move Kruppi to the bench, Munoz goes in the team, and it's 4-4-2. That said, you can use King quite comfortably next week with Wolves at home. Will feel like a nice 1 in 10.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it, with this? If you wildcard with this and then Kruppi comes out of the team, you are playing four defenders most weeks, or like you say, having to go with Josh King, albeit in good fixtures. It could get on your nerves, that, I think, couldn't it? With the
it'll only take Mo to get hat-trick tomorrow night, and there'll be people wildcarding in 10. Like, oh, I wonder if I can go like Mateta, Kruppi, and Goo.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I think with Mateta and Munoz particularly, I'd want them in rather than thinking I've got to buy them next week. Suck it up for this week is probably where I'd be at.
Yep.
Yeah, don't love it. But there'll be another little crowd that we'll like next week, and I am going to have a look at it myself. I don't think I'll do it, but I am going to have a look at it myself tonight. All right, thank you, David. Anything else, mate?
No, mate. No, all good.
Good stuff. For our patrons from Intermediate Plus tier and above, you've got the differential show coming up today as well. Team News stream for advanced tier patrons is 3:30 p.m. UK time. And for those on YouTube, the deadline stream is at 5:30 for everybody today. If you are on YouTube, hit the like button, smash a like. For the audio listeners, a 5-star review does go a really long way. Have a great weekend, everyone. And for those on the audio, cue music, please. Man shout.